Before you say a single word about yourself, before you explain who you are, what you feel, what you carry, what you desire, your home has already spoken it all. I'm not talking about decoration. I'm not talking about style or aesthetic taste. I'm talking about something much deeper and much more revealing than any psychologist could extract in hours of conversation. I'm talking about the invisible language that exists in the corners of your space, in the way you organize what you love, in the scent you choose for your home, in the textures you need to touch to feel at peace. And if you are a Taurus, if you were born under the rulership of Venus, a child of the earth, guardian of what is concrete, beautiful, and real, then your home is not just a place where you sleep and wake up. Your home is your most honest self-portrait, and today I'm going to show you what it says about you, even the parts you hadn't noticed yet. Something happens when a Taurus enters a space for the first time. It's not immediate like Scorpio's intuition or expansive like Sagittarius's enthusiasm. It's slower, more tactile, more deliberate. Taurus enters a place and begins to feel, not with logic, with the whole body. The feet perceive the type of flooring. The hands almost instinctively touch the surfaces. The nose registers the air before the eyes finish scanning the environment. You do it, maybe not consciously, but you do. And when Taurus finds a space that responds to what its body is asking for, when the floor has the right temperature, when the light enters in the right way, when the air has weight and not emptiness, something specific happens. Taurus relaxes in a way that no other place can anymore. This relaxation is not laziness. It is sacred. It is the moment when Taurus, who spends their entire life being strong, being present, being the one who sustains everything around them, can finally exist without having to be anything to anyone. And your home is the only place in the world where that's possible. But before talking about what your house reveals, I need to talk about what it protects. Taurus is the sign that most needs sanctuary. Not luxury, sanctuary. There's a huge difference between the two, and Taurus feels that difference in their spine before they can articulate it in words. Luxury is visual. It's meant to be seen. It's meant to impress. A sanctuary is a sensory experience. It's meant to be felt. It's meant to restore. A Taurus can live in a modest house and transform it into a palace of sensations. And you can enter a high-end apartment with everything gleaming and photogenic and feel an emptiness that no expensive decoration will fill. What you're looking for in your space isn't ostentation. It's presence, the presence of things that matter, the presence of silence that doesn't oppress, the presence of beauty that needs no explanation. And when people enter the house of a Taurus, even without knowing anything about astrology, even without understanding anything about Venus or about Earth energy, they feel it. They leave there different from how they entered. This is no accident. It's the architecture of the soul. Let's start with what no one else will tell you about your house. The first thing a Taurus's house reveals is their level of self-respect in the present moment. Let me explain. When Taurus is at peace with themselves, when they are emotionally nourished, when their relationships are in order, when they feel in control of their own life, their home reflects this in an almost astonishing way. Everything has its place. Not because Taurus is obsessively organized like Virgo, but because when at peace, Taurus takes care of what they love. And Taurus loves their space. The plants are watered. The bed is made not out of obligation, but because a well-made bed is a message that Taurus sends to itself every morning. I deserve to wake up in a beautiful place. The kitchen smells of something being prepared with care. There are flowers. It might be a bouquet bought at a market. It might be a sprig picked from somewhere. But there are flowers always. But when Taurus is down, when they're carrying an unresolved pain, when a relationship has cracked something inside, when life is demanding more than they have to give, the house changes. It doesn't turn into chaos. Taurus isn't a sign of chaos, but it does become a burden. Things pile up in the corners. The dishes take a little longer to be put away. The favorite plant receives just enough water, nothing more. The bed may be made, but the pillows are thrown haphazardly. And there's a different kind of silence in the air, not the restorative silence that Taurus loves, but the silence of someone carrying something alone and not yet knowing how to put that weight down. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever looked at your space and felt that it was telling you something you hadn't yet stopped to listen to? I need to pause here and ask you a question that I want you to take seriously. Right now, not after the video, now, how is your house? I'm not asking if it's clean or messy. I'm asking how it is, feels, if you close your eyes and think about your space. What's the first feeling that comes to mind? Is it warmth? Is it comfort? Is it quiet pride? Or is it that hard-to-name feeling, a mix of longing for how things used to be, a vague pressure that something needs to change, a discomfort you've learned to ignore because life doesn't stop to wait for you to reorganize what's inside? If it's the second option, if something in this description touched you in a way that hurt a little, I want you to write it here in the comments. Not for me, for the next Taurus who will read this and feel that they are not alone. Write, my home is waiting for me as much as I am waiting for it. This sentence is a commitment to yourself first and foremost, and I believe that the simple act of writing this will set something in motion. Because Taurus, more than any other sign, responds to what is concrete and declared. Written words have weight, and you know that. Now let's get into the details. The details that reveal who you really are. The cuisine of Taurus tells a whole story. If you have one room that is sacred to Taurus, it's the kitchen. Not because Taurus necessarily cooks a lot, although many cook masterfully, but because the kitchen is where Taurus performs its deepest act of love. Nurturing. Look at your kitchen right now and tell me, what do you see? If you have spices neatly organized, if you have that good olive oil you bought because you deserved it, if you have a wooden cutting board with signs of use, if you have a kettle that you use every day and that you chose, for its shape and not just its function, you are looking at the signature of a Taurus who is taking care of themselves. But if the kitchen is merely functional, if it has the bare minimum, if the spices are basic, if the dishes are just the same old dishes, with nothing you've truly chosen, then the kitchen is telling you that at some point, you stop treating yourself like someone who deserves the best at home. And this matters more than it seems, because for Taurus, cooking and eating are not mechanical acts. They are rituals. They are moments where the body, that body that Taurus inhabits with such awareness and intensity, receives full attention. And when Taurus neglects the kitchen, it is actually neglecting this self-care ritual that is as fundamental as sleep. The Taurus room is where the mask falls. Taurus can be many things to the outside world. They can be strong, reliable, and always calm. They can spend the whole day being whatever everyone needs them to be, but the room is different. In the bedroom, Taurus physically needs everything to be exactly right. The bedding must have a comforting texture. The pillow must have the weight that allows the head to truly rest. The temperature needs to be in the range where the body relaxes effortlessly. The light, if there is any, needs to be soft, angled, and preferably golden. This is not being fussy. This is Taurus, honoring the body as the temple that it is. And here's a revelation that might surprise you. The quality of sleep for Taurus is directly linked to the beauty of the environment where they sleep. It's not a question of tiredness or not. Taurus can be exhausted and still have restless sleep in a room that doesn't resonate with them. And you can be just reasonably tired and sleep soundly in a room that has that extra pillow, that subtly scented candle, that curtain that filters the light just right. Is your bedroom allowing you to truly rest? Or is he just letting you stop? There's a huge difference between stopping and resting. And Taurus, which gives so much, needs real rest, not a pause. Restoration. Let's talk about the objects. A Taurus's home is full of objects with history. And that's one of the most revealing traits of the entire sign. Taurus doesn't discard things easily. Not because they're pathological hoarders, it's different from that, but because Taurus feels things. Because everything that has entered their home carries the memory of how it got there, who gave it to them, where they were in life when they chose it. You have a mug you use every day that's a bit crooked and slightly faded, but you won't replace it because it was a gift from someone who imported it. You have a book you'll never reread, but it stays on the shelf because the cover has that color you love and because it was the book you read during a period that changed something. You have a blanket that doesn't match anything, but it's the most comfortable one you've ever touched, and it appears on the sofa every time you've had a tough day. These objects are not disordered attachment. They're materialized memory. And for Taurus, who lives in the concrete, who needs to touch to believe, who finds spirituality in physical things and not in abstractions, these objects are sacred. They are the tactile proof that you lived, that you loved, that you had moments worth preserving in the form of a thing. But here's the question that's going to sting a little. Are any of these objects holding you back in the past instead of anchoring you in the present? There's a difference between an object that nourishes you and an object that keeps you stuck in a chapter that's already closed. And Taurus, who loves so deeply, sometimes holds on to things that should have been let go of long ago, not out of love for the object itself, but out of fear that letting go of the thing will mean letting go of the memory. You don't have to let go of the memory. You can honor it in a different way. But the object that drains you, that every time you pass by it brings a pain that no longer solves anything, that object may have served its purpose. And your house will feel different when he's gone. Taurus and plants. This needs to be said. There's no Taurus who doesn't have some kind of connection with greenery. It could be a single succulent in a small window. It could be a balcony overflowing with foliage. It could be a garden that you tend to as if it were your own child, but there is green. There always is, and the reason is profound. Taurus is an earth sign. Literally, energetically, symbolically, its essence is made of the same element that makes plants grow. When Taurus touches the soil of a pot, when it waters a plant and observes the leaves, when it chooses where to place that new pot, it is practicing a type of active meditation that no breathing app will be able to reproduce. He is reconnecting with his own nature. And when Taurus's plants are wilting, it's always a sign, not of simple neglect. Taurus rarely neglects what they love. It's a sign that Taurus is so overwhelmed with what's happening outside that they don't have the energy to water even what's inside their home. At this moment, the act of watering the plant is a therapeutic act. It's not a chore, it's healing. Now let's talk about something that nobody associates with Taurus, but that is always present in the house of this sign: sound. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and, often overlooked on this list, music. And the house of Taurus has a soundtrack, not necessarily a speaker in the corner playing all day. But Taurus has a conscious relationship with silence and with what breaks it. They know exactly when silence is serving them and when it's weighing them down. And when silence weighs them down, Taurus puts on that song. Not the first one that comes along, the right one. The one with the right tempo for the moment. The one that will make their shoulders slump, their breathing slow down, their body remember that there's more to it than just their head. Your home playlist is a more honest reflection of your emotional state than any diary. What have you been listening to at home lately? Music that builds, that calms, that heals, or music that you put on because you can't stand the silence, because lately the silence has been too full of thoughts that you still don't know how to organize. There's a room in a Taurus's house that reveals more than any other, the place where they sit when they want to think. Every Taurus has one. It might be the corner of the sofa, always the same corner, never the other side. It might be a specific chair near the window. It might be the balcony, the stairs, the edge of the bed. A fixed, almost ritualistic place where Taurus goes when they need to process something. This place is sacred. It's where Taurus makes the most important decisions in life, not in meetings, not in conversation, but sitting in their place, with the weight of their body acknowledging the weight of their thoughts. And this place says something very important about you. You are a being who needs space to think. Not time of space, physical, concrete, recognizable. Its internal process needs an external anchor to function properly. That's why abrupt changes in environment destabilize Taurus so much. It's not attachment to a place for convenience. It's that their thought process is partially anchored in physical space. When the space changes without preparation, the internal process becomes unanchored. And Taurus gets lost in a way that's difficult to explain to someone who has never experienced it. And we've arrived at the most profound point of this conversation. The House of Taurus is not only revealing of the past and the present, it is prophetic regarding the future. Let me explain what I mean by that. Taurus has an ability that few signs possess to the same degree, the capacity to create the environment before living the life they want to have. Before even having a relationship, Taurus has already organized the space for two people. Before achieving financial stability, Taurus already has that plant that symbolizes prosperity in the corner of the room, not because they are superstitious, but because they intuitively know that the environment you create announces what you are inviting into your life. This is not empty mysticism. It is applied spatial psychology with a sophistication that Taurus naturally possesses. What are you advertising from your house right now? Is the space you've created a welcoming space where good things can land, or is it a space of resistance, closed off, cramped, with no room for the new to enter? You don't need to renovate everything. You don't need to buy anything new. Sometimes all it takes is opening a window that's been closed for too long, moving a piece of furniture that was blocking the way, taking that object off the shelf that weighs more than it brings joy. Small physical gestures have enormous symbolic weight for Taurus, because Taurus knows deep down that the external and the internal are constantly communicating with each other. Let's talk now about what the House of Taurus reveals to other people and why this matters more than you might imagine. When someone enters the home of a Taurus you respect and who is comfortable with themselves for the first time, there's an almost universal experience that people describe. They don't want to leave, not because the house is the most beautiful they've ever seen, not because you have the best sofa or the most sophisticated lighting, but because there's something in the air, a combination of smells, textures, light, temperature, silence, and presence that makes people's bodies relax in a way they rarely achieve elsewhere. The Taurus house has the gift of making people feel they can be exactly who they are. This is no coincidence. It's a reflection. The house reflects its owner. And when the owner is a Taurus who has learned to accept themselves, who has stopped apologizing for the intensity of their affection, who has decorated the space for themselves and not for anyone's approval, this self-acceptance permeates every corner of the place. People come in and feel here. Existence is permitted. Do you know how rare this is in the outside world? How often do people walk around with their entire bodies tense, anticipating judgment, monitoring what they say, how they say it, and how much space they occupy? And your home, simply because it's yours, simply because it bears the signature of a Taurus who knows himself, offers the antidote to that. You are, quite literally, a walking sanctuary. And your home is the physical manifestation of that gift. Now, the revelation I saved for last, the one I needed you to be ready to hear. The House of Taurus reveals one thing above all others, and that thing is this. Taurus believes in what lasts, not in what shines for a moment and fades. In what remains, in what ages well, in what improves with time, like wine, like treated wood, like a friendship that has survived crises, and that belief, that deep, sometimes silent faith in what is permanent, is imprinted in every choice you've made within your home. In the fabric you preferred to plastic, in the dishes you saved for that special day that became an ordinary day, because you learned that deserving something doesn't require an occasion. In the way you care for your plants with the same regularity with which you care for your most important relationships, you are a being made to build, not just houses, bonds, stories, memories, legacies, and your home, that space you created, that you chose, that you inhabit with the totality of who you are, is the most concrete proof of that. Every time you open the door and enter, you are entering a place that is tangible evidence that you existed, that you lived, that you chose certain things, loved certain things, built certain things. Don't underestimate this. In a world that values what is disposable, you, Taurus, have chosen what lasts, and that's subversive. It's courageous. It's rarer than it seems. One last thing before we wrap up. If, after everything you've heard here today, there's a part of your home that's asking for attention, a part that's telling you something needs to change, be reorganized, be renewed, be finally dismissed, I want you to do one thing this week, just one, not a reform, not a complete transformation, a gesture. It could be replacing wilted flowers with fresh ones. It could be finally hanging that picture that's been leaning against the wall for months. It could be washing the curtains, rearranging the bookshelf, creating a cozy corner with the things you love most, but that were scattered without a purpose. A physical gesture made with intention, within one's own space, and then come back here and tell me what you did. Write in the comments, I took care of my space and I took care of myself, because for Taurus, taking care of their space and taking care of themselves are the same thing. It always has been. If this video touched you, if it made you see your home and yourself in a different way, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share it with that Taurus in your life who needs to be reminded that the space they created is a reflection of who they are, and who he is far more extraordinary than he allows himself to believe.